Hello, I'm Josie Wales and welcome to this Combat Mission Fortress Italy After Action Report. This was a multiplayer battle played against Denis from the Few Good Men. It's a meeting engagement between American and German infantry on a small map. I'm playing as the Germans. I've deployed bottom left, which is the northwest corner, and my opponent has deployed on the eastern side, which is the far end of the map. There are three objectives in the centre of the map: Casa Rotunda, which is basically the eastern end of the bridge, the Riverside Farm and the Old Farm. For this mission I have two companies of Panzergrenadiers. 6th Company consists of 3 Panzergrenadier platoons and a heavy platoon which consists of an on-map mortar section with 2 81mm mortars and 4 heavy machine guns. 7th Platoon is exactly the same setup except that the 2 mortars in the mortar section are off-map. All the heavy machine guns are MG34s and MG42s used in the support role. I do not have a forward observer, but I do have a battalion HQ. As you can see, all the objectives are on the east bank of a small river. There is one bridge in the middle of the map, however there are several fording points upstream and downstream of the bridge. The battle starts at 1500 hours. I've got 30 minutes to seize and hold all 3 objectives to win the scenario. I've chosen to amass all of my troops on the left side of the map. One of the platoons from 7th Company is going to rush across the bridge with the aim of securing the Riverside Farm before my opponent can get eyes on the bridge and bring his artillery to cut it off. Contact is made in the first minute. Left of the bridge, 2nd Platoon from 7th Company form a base of fire on my side of the river. On the far left, 3rd Platoon of 7th Company cross the only ford north of the bridge. Two heavy machine gun teams from 7th Company push over the bridge to reinforce 1st Platoon at the farm. A squad from 1st Platoon moves through the Riverside farmhouse and prods towards the old farmhouse. On the right, 1st Platoon of 6th Company move into a building overlooking one of the southern fords. The rest of 6th Company are being kept in the rear for the moment. Strategic Update 1, 15:04 hours, 4 minutes into battle. 1st Platoon of 7th Company have moved across the bridge and secured the Riverside Farm. Contact with the Americans seems to be around the old farm opposite. 2nd Platoon are on this side of the bank providing base of fire, and 3rd Platoon have moved over onto the eastern side, crossing the ford on the north end of the map. Heavy machine guns have been set up to lay supporting fire, and 2 heavy machine guns have been moved in with 1st Platoon into the farm. In an attempt to gain the initiative early on, I'm going to amass on the left for an attack. There appears to be a platoon of enemy infantry in an orchard. The plan is to move into that orchard so that I can then put fire on his infantry in the centre to either dislodge them or at least disrupt what they're intending to do. I will need to cross open ground between 2 low stone walls on the left. To facilitate this, I will put a smoke screen down here so as to prevent his troops in the centre firing upon my advancing troops. 2nd and 3rd Platoon from 6th Company are going to join 2nd and 3rd Platoon from 7th Company for this attack. The assault force will amass on the eastern side of the ford. As anticipated, American artillery starts to hit around the bridge. On the right, 1st Platoon of 6th Company start to move across one of the fords onto the east bank of the river. On the left, without orders, 2 squads from 3rd Platoon of 6th Company start the attack before the smoke screen is laid. Rather than pull them back and lose the element of surprise, I decide to commit to the attack in full without the smoke screen before my opponent has a chance to respond and move reinforcements into the area. The first smoke rounds begin to fall, the Americans start to pull back from the orchard. I continue to rush more troops in on the left to support the attack. In the centre, American mortar fire starts to hit the farmhouse and barn. The Americans quickly follow up with a heavy artillery strike between the 2 farmhouses. Sixth Company mortar section finally complete the smoke screen for the attack on the left. However, it has failed to provide any concealment for the attacking force. The Americans in the centre shift their automatic weapon fire to deal with the exposed attackers on the left. What follows is a slaughter. One squad makes it to the far wall, but most don't get across the open ground. The squad that did make it to the wall cannot hold on to that position. The attack has been a complete failure. As the last men fall, the survivors throw smoke and scramble back to the jump-off position. The Americans quickly return to their positions on the left, this time in larger numbers. They launch a probing attack of their own. Although exhausted and demoralised, the survivors managed to neutralise the American probing attack. The bridge in the centre is still being hit by harassing mortar fire, denying me a route to reinforce the riverside farm if I need to. The survivors of the artillery barrage patch themselves up. On the right, 1st Platoon of 6th Company moved to the south side of the Riverside Farm. They are rested and their morale is good. Strategic Update 2, 15 hours, 15 minutes into the battle. On the left, the battered remains of the platoons involved in the attack are trying to rest and recover. In the centre, my forces are under increasing fire and are slowly getting whittled down. And on the right, 1st Platoon of 6th Company are starting to probe on the south side of the Riverside farmhouse. My opponent has completely denied me use of the bridge by hitting it with harassing mortar fire. I certainly have less options than I did earlier. On the left, my battered troops can do nothing but hold their position and try and prevent the Americans from advancing. In the centre, my troops are slowly getting whittled away as the buildings crumble around them from American mortar and artillery fire. And my fresh platoon on the right is going to probe into the vineyard to see if there is anything on that side that we can exploit. As a scout team moves through the vineyards, we make contact with American infantry. In the centre, pressure for the troops from the American mortar fire proves to be great, and many of them start to fall back. My opponent senses this and starts to close in on the Riverside farm. I bring pressure troops to reinforce the Riverside farm. With support from the right, the first wave of the attackers are seen off. I continue to try and reinforce the farm. But the Americans are not making it easy. The Americans lay a smoke screen between the two farms and start to amass for a second attack. Back on the left, the remnants from the decimated platoons from the earlier failed attack regroup for another push. This time better use is made of smoke and support weapons. Strategic Update 3, 15:22 hours, 22 minutes into the battle. On the left, I'm organising for another push. In the centre, the troops are just about holding on to the Riverside farm. And on the right, after some success, 1st Platoon of 6th Company have encountered more Americans on my right. I'm attempting to bring as many units as possible over the ford to the right of the bridge, as I still cannot use the bridge due to my opponent's harassing mortar fire. My position in the centre is looking weaker by the minute. My opponent's use of mortars is proving to be very successful in frustrating my attempts to reinforce the farm. At the farm, the second wave of Americans attacked. They managed to move into the objective. my forces at the farm are overrun and start to pull back. On the left, as the smoke clears, HMG teams attempt to achieve fire superiority for the imminent assault. The Americans start to fall back under the pressure, and the far wall is reached once more. In the rear, the last company mortar with rounds left relocates to try and get a direct line of sight on the enemy advances on the farm. With the American troops now occupying the riverside farmhouse, everyone in the vicinity is ordered to shift fire into the house. Overwhelmed by small arms fire, the Americans kicked back out. But no sooner had they pulled out than another wave moved in. They are routed, but still more come. Bit by bit, the farm continues to crumble under the American mortar fire. The repositioned mortar, now with direct line of sight to the enemy, opens up. An attempt is made to move back into the farmhouse. With neither side able to fully hold on to the Riverside Farm objective, the final mortar round will deter any further American attack, and the battle comes to its conclusion. And the result is a draw. My opponent has taken the Old Farm objective, and I have taken the Casa Rotunda objective, which is the east side of the bridge. And my opponent has inflicted more casualties than I have on him, and therefore he has come out ahead on points. My opponent has 103 men OK with 106 casualties. I have 114 men OK with 209 casualties. Taking a look at the map, you can see that my hold on the centre is very tenuous. And I believe that given a few more turns, my opponent would have overrun the centre objective. So how did it all go so badly wrong on the left? Well, it all started by a mistake that I'd made during the command phase. When moving a platoon HQ, I'd accidentally double clicked it, which meant that the whole platoon would follow that movement order. That's why two of the squads jumped past the original start line. And this, I believe, had telegraphed my intent to my opponent before I was ready to mount the attack. So had it all gone according to plan, these two squads would still be behind the wall at the jump-off position, waiting for other troops to arrive. As well as the amassing of troops, a smoke screen would be laid in this area here, so as to give concealment from the American automatic weapons, which were located in the centre behind the old farmhouse. So the smokescreen starts to arrive after the attack is underway. I decided to push ahead with the attack because I didn't want to give my opponent the opportunity to reinforce the orchard. As still believe at this point that I had the numbers to achieve the objective, which was to take the orchard. I had committed 4 platoons to this attack, plus support weapons. As the smoke rounds from the mortar completed, the smokescreen had proven to be wholly ineffective. With the benefit of hindsight, I should have pulled the 2 squads back immediately. I may well not have telegraphed my intent to my opponent at that point, and I should have waited for the smokescreen. When the smokescreen didn't materialise, I should have had the presence of mind to call off the attack. On a strategic level, I did not bring any forward observers or anything larger than 81mm mortars, whereas my opponent had brought a forward observer and some heavy artillery, which just proved devastating in the centre where he took out a couple of my squads. I will leave a link to my opponent's YouTube channel in the description below. I believe he is intending to put up his own video of this battle, so that will be really interesting to watch it from his perspective. That brings this after action report to a close. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, please leave a like, subscribe, feel free to leave a comment. I'm Josie Wales, War is Hell. Thanks for watching. He